talk about, I forgot what we were talking about. We were literally just talking about listening to your body. I don't know why I keep blanking on this topic today, but we're talking about listening to your body. Yes, I need to listen to my body. Obviously, my brain is not turned on yet, but before we get into this fun topic, I'm going to go ahead and run through some announcements with you guys. As you see, we have a fun themed workout today. Me and Coach Izzy are repping some awesome woman superheroes. I got Wonder Woman. She has Black Widow. I'm DC. She is Marvel. That's what we're doing. Marvel versus DC. I don't know where your shirt is at today.
In my head, I'm my own superhero. So.
Yeah. But yeah, we have a super fun workout, so make sure you guys are coming in this afternoon and getting in a good workout. We also restocked on all of our Truling supplements. I know I got my wellness shots, my Everyday Energy, my Everyday Fit yesterday, so make sure if you guys are missing anything that you go ahead and grab some of those because they're flying off the shelves.
They sure are.
Yes. We're also in week 3 of the challenge. We are halfway there. It's crazy. It's flying by so fast. You guys are doing amazing. You're staying on top of it. Everybody's learning so much, learning about themselves, learning about how to improve themselves. And this week's progress reports are coming out tomorrow, and they're due Friday at noon. So make sure you guys are turning those ones in. These ones are super, super important because this is where we can kind of start to make a little bit of changes. So if you guys have been really on top of your calories and we can kind of see how that has been working with your body, some people will be able to adjust them and kind of, adjust those goals. But if you haven't been on top of your calories, it's okay. We still have another 3 weeks left. And like I've been telling everyone, it's a learning process and a learning curve.
Yes.
So even if we haven't gotten started or kicked off the challenge the way we may have wanted to, that's kind of the point. That's kind of where we can say and see where we are able to bounce back from things like that. And we can still keep going and we can still make a lot of progress and see a lot of results. So make sure that you're just kind of changing your mindset if you're not all in, and you can still keep on going. So with that being said, I think we're ready to get into this topic.
Look at you being a public
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Thanks.
So
Take it away, Peter Parker.
for everybody, it's a Spider-Man thing as well. It's alright, it's my favorite superhero, so it works. First up, Dora and Angie both say hi. Hello, ladies.
Hello, ladies.
But yeah, so I think this is a great topic, and I really wanted to make sure that we talk about this today, especially for those of you that are on the challenge and it's your first time ever working on a boot camp, and for a lot of you guys that are also, you've been here and you've been working on, like, it's very important that we address this situation and we talk about just like listening to your body or listening to what it's saying, because I can't like even count at like this many times or as many times now that I hear where someone's like, oh, like this is like hurting a lot, or it hurts to just like do this or squat, and like my knees are bugging me or my back's bugging me, and they're like, but I'm just gonna push through it. And then they go through their workout. I'm like, oh, how are you feeling? I was like, it's still there, but I pushed through it. Or just like not listening to your body when it comes to other things, like when you're thirsty you want to drink water, when you're hungry, or if you're too full you don't want to eat, and it's like, oh, but I have to force myself to eat these foods. Like, listening to your body is overall, I believe, like a skill. Like, you have to learn how to do it right. You have to learn how to properly listen to your body and not just like assume things, this or that. And I know, of course, like I say every single time, like each of us have different experiences when it comes to it, but understanding like where you're at, how you're feeling physically and mentally about things is going to take you a lot farther than anything else, than somebody else telling you something. Of course, if you have something to talk to a doctor, probably listen to your doctor, not what I'm saying. But I know I've had countless amount of like small injuries or like lingering pains and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, I had to listen to what my body is telling me to do. And sometimes it's not always like the fun answer, or should I say like the most enticing answer. Sometimes it's like, oh, you need to take a little bit of a break off of working out or running or whatever is the thing that's causing you that little bit of pain. Like, I know after the 4x4x48 that I did, my left foot was all jacked up to the point where it's like it like hurt to still run or stuff like that for a little over a month after. Like it took a long time for like me to heal. So I was like, okay, well, I can't go 1,000% into my running routine and stuff like that, but I can find alternatives. So I biked more and did a lot of different other cardio things. But it's like, it's one of those things where I very much know myself and they know me very well, where I'll be like, oh, I'll just push through it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to get to it. But it's that figuring out what's going to be the better alternative for you, what's going to be the better result, is to kind of like easing off the gas on one thing, but knowing that that doesn't mean that it's over, or that you stop completely. It doesn't mean that you've given up. It means that we just got to figure out another way to do it. So, is there anything that's happened in your lives recently that kind of resonates with this topic?
as he looks at me. Yeah, so for me, in general, I just listen to my body so much, and everything that I do, I really do feel like I'm a superhero sometimes, and I can do everything and anything. And sometimes I need to listen to my body for me to slow down, because I'm like go, 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 go. And then I start feeling sick, or if I'm not sleeping well, I'm not resting well. My mind won't tell me there's something wrong. I think, again, I'm Superwoman and I can do it all. But my body kind of starts saying like, hey, you need to slow down, like you need to rest, you need to stop. And that's honestly the only thing that will stop me sometimes, and taking the break that I need. And even when it comes for like me being stressed out, or like there's just so much going on, I do like to have like a recovery day. Lately I've been doing Thursdays, which are my days off. It's a personal day, it's a me day, and I take care of Susie and what I need. And sometimes that means doing like meditation in the mornings, and just I'll put on a YouTube video and just meditate. And it's really awesome. There's so many guided meditations, and they kind of just help you go through every part of your body and how you feel, you know, from your arms, you know, your legs, like how does your breathing feel? And you just kind of get in tune a little bit more with how you're feeling, and it feels awesome, and I just continue on with my day. And then I also was incorporating yoga. Like on Sundays I would do yoga, just to do something a little bit different than like, you know, the workouts that we do here. Or I would go for a walk or a bike ride. Like I try to do something that's like still active, but it's just like a recovery workout, and it makes me feel good. It's something that I love to do. But going back to why Valencia just looked at me, recently Daniel and I went to Utah, and we went on a hike every single day. We probably hiked over like 20 miles within like the 4 days that we were there. And I hurt my knee. I remember when it happened, and I looked at Daniel and I was like, hey, something happened, it didn't feel right, and I know I'm probably gonna feel something later, and sure enough I did. And then while we were out there, I was stubborn, and I wasn't gonna miss out on going on the best hike that I wanted to go on out there. And I threw a icy hot patch on it. I took an ibuprofen, and I went for the hike. I was stubborn, but I did take it easy, and I listened to my body. And when I felt like my knee was starting to bother me, I knew that it was time to head back home. And I went to my doctor. I am, again, very in tune with my body. I know what feels good, what doesn't feel good. I know when to push myself and when to stop. And I did go to my doctor, and he did recommend for me to stay off of it for about 3 weeks. So I haven't been able to work out. I haven't been able to do a lot of active work, and I just think that it's really important for you to know the difference between being sore and being hurt. Needing to modify to not make your situation worse. And for me, like that's what I'm doing. Like I know that I can do the modifications here. However, I don't really know what is wrong with my knee, so I do want to kind of go and get an MRI and kind of figure out what is wrong with it. And once I understand what's wrong with it and what I can do, then I know what I can push myself to do. But I'm not going to push myself to where I'm going to injure it more than where it is now. And that's where it is difficult. It's, you know, I'm in here all the time. I'm seeing everybody work out. I have goals. You know, I want a six-pack this summer. But I just have to take it easy, and that's okay, because I mean, sometimes like you just have to slow down and take care of yourself so that I could be stronger and continue my fitness journey and not end up in a worse situation. And I know that a lot of you guys have injuries, and you guys have to, you know, slow down, and some of you guys don't, but I just do think that it's really important for you to listen to your bodies, listen to how you feel, listen to your stress levels, and make the time to give yourself like some recuperation time there, because it's really necessary, and it's so important for us to rest, because our body needs that to rebuild itself.
That's awesome. I know definitely a lot of clients probably relate to that, because I know a lot of people, sometimes it's their back, it's their knee, something's hurting your wrist, whatever it may be, so it's good to be able to know when to take a step back.
Yeah. And something too that is so important is, you know our Fit Fam, we're so loving, and we just care about everybody here. and we want the best that's for you guys, but please don't ever feel that because you're doing a modification that you're not getting a good workout, because trust me, it is a good workout still. On the workout videos, most of the time I do the modifications, and I got in really, really good shape when I was doing those, and it's a good workout. Like, don't think that you're not getting a good workout. Don't think that you have to compete with the person next to you or across from you because, they're doing something a little bit harder, or they're doing impact. Like, that is not your journey. You need to focus on yours and what's best for you.
And there's a reason, like, we have the modifications not because it's like, oh, we just need to make the workout overall easier for you. It's just a different way to do it at the end of the day. Like, if you do it with the same amount of intensity and the same amount of intention that you did with the non-modified version, like, you're still gonna get a good workout. You guys should already know, if I'm in here and I give you a modification, the expectation is it's still not gonna be easy. Like, I'm still gonna push it along with all the other coaches here. So if you need to take out the impact, stop jumping because your knees are killing you. Take out the impact, stop jumping. We can always step it out. You're still gonna move as fast, you're still gonna get your heart rate up. If lunges or stuff like that, like, you're just like, oh, every time I lunge, I feel like my knees are going to explode. Like, do a squat. Like, we have all these other alternatives. That way you can still get a same quality workout without having to sacrifice, like, your knees or lower back or anything like that. Like, listen to what your body is telling you and go with what's right. Go with what feels best. Go with what works with you a lot better in that moment. Because, of course, as things get better, as things, let's say that you're overdoing it with your knees, and we're getting a little bit more scientific here. Let's say that you're overexerting yourself on your knees, and it's just like the amount of like the compounded pressure over time is getting a little bit too much, and especially the unilateral stuff. So when we're doing like one leg motions, like your lunges and things, use both. Like divert, spread the weight do 2 joints, and then that way you can still do the motion and have essentially have the amount of pressure on it than you would with doing it the one step. You're still gonna burn up your quads. It's gonna be a different exercise, but that doesn't mean that it's less great to do. So like, listen to yourself and go with it. And if we give you a modification, please don't take it as like an insult or thinking that, oh, you can't do this. Like, we're trying to look out for the best for you. Especially if you tell us you come in here with something that's already nagging you. Like, our goal is then to be like, okay, how can we fix this workout to work with you, to work for you?
I think it's also important when you're doing the workouts, something that I like to do. We usually go through the same workout, at least 2-3 times, right? So the first round, I always make sure that I'm actually feeling the targeted muscle that we're hitting, right? So if we're supposed to feel it in our abs and what I'm doing, I'm not feeling it in my abs, and I'm not doing something right. So my first round, I'm just trying to figure out like, what is the motion that I'm supposed to have right now, and where am I supposed to be feeling this? And then once I get that motion, I'm like, all right, round 2, here I come. And then I do it correctly. But again, you have to listen to your body. Like, don't just go, because that's when you're gonna start getting, the impact is not supposed to be where it's going, and you can injure yourself that way. And then I also wanted to remind you guys that if there is something that's hurting you or bothering you, or you have some modifications that you need, please let the coaches know. Come in a little bit earlier. They're always more than happy to modify things for you guys, and they work with you. Whatever you have, we're willing to work with you.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I remember doing the at-home workout a couple weeks ago, and I was doing the modified version. I was in the 90s on the My Zone, because I know sometimes we tell you guys you can step it out, and that's what I was doing. I was stepping out some press jacks, but I was going really, really hard with them, and my heart rate was up. I was sweating. It doesn't mean you slow down. It definitely just means you take out the impact, no jumping, but you can really step things out super fast. So I like that we talked about that, because I think that's super important. Yeah.
Nice. What do you guys do for like recovery?
Recovery?
When do you recover?
Sleep?
Yes, that's a huge thing, even though that was like a haphazard joke. Like, sleep. Get your sleep in. That's been a conversation that me and Kat have been having about myself, because I usually, as you guys know, I'm usually running the early morning sessions like all week. So I have a tendency to not get like my 8 hours of sleep. So I've been forcing myself, even though I know I'm still reluctant to it. Don't worry, I'm stubborn at times. To get my 8 hours of sleep in. Because there's a whole lot of science, and that's like a whole other conversation. And we've had that conversation, I believe, before on a different episode of Coffee with the Coaches. But like, when you sleep, you recover for the most part. Like you sleep, you get your 8 hours. It allows your body and your brain to kind of hit a reset, fix anything that needs to be fixed, like tune anything up. That way the next day, like you can go into it. So if you're not getting your sleep, if you are one of those people that's consistently getting like 5 hours of sleep, or like 4.5, or like barely 6, like focus on your sleep. It goes an extremely long way. There's a whole lot of science that says like sleep, like good sleep is connected to like good brain health, overall better muscle recovery and muscle gain, some better fat loss, and it says that poor sleep is linked heavily to like a lot of mental diseases like Alzheimer's and stuff. So it's like sleep is extremely important because it does fix you. It does like repair a lot of stuff. But as far as what I do for recovery, like I try to just move as much throughout the day. Like I try to get, like right now on my watch, with barely being here for 2 sessions, I'm at 7,000 steps, give or take. And so I try to get around like 15,000 to like 20,000 steps in a day, which is a lot of steps. But it's like I just try to keep my body moving as much as possible because it just helps everything flow a little bit better. And it's active recovery. Like recovery doesn't mean that you just sit down and like you just stay there and you're on the couch for like 8 hours on a Sunday. It means that like you're doing something. Go on a bike ride. You don't have to be like pushing as hard as possible, but you do need to put a little bit of effort into it. Something that's gonna break a sweat, but you can do for hours on end without feeling like absolutely exhausted during it. Like that's what I like to do, like something like that. Or like now I've been playing basketball like crazy. You can ask them. Like I talk about it so much now. Like that's turned into my recovery because like I'm out there. By the time I'm done playing, like I have another like 10,000 steps on my watch, and it's like, oh, like I don't feel like exhausted. I had a lot of fun. So just find something out there that like helps you keep moving and doesn't like take the wind out of your lungs.
Yeah.
Unless you play with Sean, and the wind comes out of your lungs.
And I think it's good to have a recovery workout because a lot of you guys feel guilty if you don't make it into your workout, and you shouldn't feel guilty about recovery. So having something like an alternative so that you can recover is a really good option.
I think this whole topic for me, like listening to your body, is taking like the more I think about it, it's a really different direction for me because I think it can go like yes, listen to your body if you're pushing too hard, but lately it's for me listening to myself and knowing I'm not pushing hard enough. I have been slowly kind of getting back into a good routine. The past 2 weeks have been going really well. It's been slow, but it's been like getting back to where I used to be, where I was really on top of myself. I've been trying to put on more muscle, and with that, sometimes it comes with weight gain, so that's been really hard for me. I've actually gained some weight, so now I'm back to like trying to cut my calories, and it's been difficult because ever since being so active and working here, I really feel like I don't get full anymore, so I want to eat all the time. So it's been like my brain doesn't have that like you're full thing, so it's been hard to listen to my body. I feel like I could just keep on eating, so I've kind of had to really check myself and stop myself from eating more and making sure that I am pushing hard enough, because I feel like some things I've been giving more effort to than others, and taking a step back and saying you need to like refocus on yourself and push yourself harder, because I know I can go harder, and I think a lot of us know that, but we just have to be willing to put in the work. And I was telling Coach Sean about it. I was like, by the end of the week, I want you to ask me, did you work out 5 times? And if I didn't, tell me that's lame and tell me, my excuses are lame. Because he told me, he's like, an excuse and a reason, they're the same thing. He's like, either way, the thing that you wanted to do doesn't get done. At the end of the day, no matter how big or small, your reason, your excuse, that doesn't change the fact that what you set out to do, you didn't do. So that really like clicked for me, and like, just kind of had, I guess, like an epiphany of just being like, it's either you do it or you don't. It's as simple as that. And I feel like my, right now, listening to my body is knowing that I can do more, knowing that I can push harder, and kind of switching gears from like wanting to put on muscle and kind of seeing that muscle, but also like being really uncomfortable with the weight that I've put on. And now I'm switching to like, okay, now it's time to cut your calories and see what you've done. It's kind of, it's the start, but it's been difficult switching and trying to do that. So it's been a little bit different for me for listening to my body, from going from, I used to be like super, especially working here, wanting to kind of keep up with everyone and being like, their lifestyles are crazy. Like they go super hard. Like Valencia or Sean. Sean is so regimented, so on top of it. Like it's like nothing can break him in his like schedule type stuff. So I really like in a time like this, I've kind of been trying to talk to him more and pick his brain more, and it's been helping me kind of get into that zone too. So just making sure that you kind of I've been using the people around me again to make sure that I kind of take from them and what I need in order to listen to myself and get back on track. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm
I like that.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of, change is difficult for a lot of us. And I think that's like a little good exercise to do is to ask yourself like why change is bad. So, why is doing modifications bad? Like why is that change bad for you? And you start coming up with all these reasons on why it's bad. And then ask yourself like why is change good? Like why is it going to be good for you to do modifications? And then you start naming all of these things and you just feel a little bit more comfortable on why change is good and like the reasons that you need to make those changes. So
yeah, and like I know like even after the challenge, the process that we're doing and putting you guys back onto adding more calories after, like you're gonna feel what I'm talking about. It's uncomfortable because you might put on a little bit of weight after, because it's necessary. You can't always be in a deficit. It's really necessary to sometimes give your body that break because you can't just keep going in that downward less. You just can't. It's not sustainable. So I'm definitely feeling that discomfort, but now I'm at that point where I can come back to that deficit and taking it back and see what I've done. So kind of like even throughout the rest of this challenge, like you guys are going to be on your deficits, but try to prepare yourself for kind of adding back on to maintaining what you worked so hard for over the challenge. But it's all a process. Like fitness journey, it doesn't happen like, in just a matter of 6 weeks. You're not going to see all the progress that you want, but that's why I keep telling people like it's not over after this. Everyone keeps saying it's going by so fast, but it's really not ending after the 6 weeks. It's not. We're going to keep on pushing you guys. You guys are going to still keep on doing what you're doing. There's going to be adjustments. It's going to be uncomfortable, but that's what we're here to help you guys with and to, educate you guys on why we make these changes and just answer all the questions that you guys have.
yes.
Yeah. Is there? What?
No, it was good.
He's not.
Little.
Just a little bit.
I'll give you that one.
Okay.
But no, Ariana brings up extremely well-rounded and good points here. Because of course, like listening to your body goes to the extent of just like how you feel physically, but like also where you're at like emotionally and mentally. Which I argue very, very strongly that's way more important too. Because at the same time, like if your knee hurts, there could be a handful of things. It could be your hip flexors are too tight, you have poor ankle mobility, like your calf. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into like, oh, like the pain is here, but that doesn't mean that the actual thing that's causing it is like in your knee. But it's like listening to your body so that if it just needs to relax for a second, it needs to relax for a second. But when it comes to like where you're at physically, where you're at mentally, like that's also where you have to listen to yourself a lot more intensely. Because then you have to translate like the messages of your own thoughts. You have to be like, okay, well, are the thoughts I'm having, are they my own? And if they're not my own, like who is telling me these things? And if people are telling me these things, like is it truthful or is it just like their opinion or what they believe in? And if it's their opinion or what they believe in, it's like, okay, is it something that I resonate with? There's something that I actually agree with. Like there's so many steps to figuring out like why you think the way you think or why you believe the thing you believe, that it takes a lot more energy just to be able to then to be like, oh, my knee hurts, so I'm just gonna squat instead. And that's going to put you a lot further, because at the end of the day, when it comes to your fitness journey, like the physical part of working out is the easiest part to do. And that's like, stuff that throws a lot of people off when I tell them that, when it's like, oh, like the workouts, that's the easy part. Like at the end of the day, anybody can come in, get a workout, and break a sweat for the most part, and like be all right. It's like, cool. But I always say it's like this, the other 23 and a half hours in the day. Like if you're working at a boot camp, cool, I love it. You're in here, you're working hard, I can visibly see it. But it's like, all right, when you're gone and like none of us can see what's happening, like what gets done there? What's happening there? And it's a big thing. Like I also on the other end can be like, oh, like when I'm not at work, like Ariana's doing her thing, like Sean's doing his thing, like Gus is doing his thing, like Susie Cat, like everybody has their thing. And I could always be like, they're doing so much more, and I want to be at that level because I always consider myself to be like not quite there. Like I always have like another step to go to. But then like vice versa, it could always be like, oh, like Valencia's doing these things, and like to your guys' like whatever perspective you have of me, then it's like, oh, like he's doing these things, so like why can't I do this thing, or why can't like? There's always gonna be that, like you, unless you are extremely comfortable and confident in yourself, like you're gonna find yourself finding comparisons with. It doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world. It doesn't have to be like, oh, this person's lifting heavier weight. And it's like, oh, like, you know, this person is more comfortable in their skin. Like, it's always going to be one thing until you find that confidence in yourself. And that's all about listening to yourself. That's all about listening to what your body's telling you. It's all about listening to what your brain is telling you and how you genuinely feel. So it's a lot deeper than just, oh, like physicality of it all. And that's the part that I know that I struggle with the most. It's like trying to translate those messages and figure out how I feel. And the best way that I do that is by literally just talking about it and just like letting my thoughts kind of roll. And then like picking out, it's like, okay, I said this, but like, why did I say this? Like, do I actually think like this, or is this just like a white lie that I've told myself? And that's got me like a lot farther. And like I said, that's why I like to push myself as hard as I do, because I find like when I'm in those situations, like I don't have room to lie to myself. I don't have room to like think anything else besides what I believe in. Or else I can't push myself 100%. Like when you're trying to run, like you might have experienced this when you ran like your fastest mile the other day. When you're running as fast as you can and like your lungs are burning, you can't breathe, like everything else is like fuzzy and you're right there. Like you have no other choice but to think like I got this, or else you're gonna fail. And so it's like, okay, I'm trying to consistently put myself in those situations to see like where am I at mentally. Like when I finish, like I'm gonna go back to the 4x4x48, which I'm still upset with on my last one, because I ran like a 7:04 average for my last 4 miles, and it's because like the last mile like I was dying and it was whatever, but I'm like cool. During that entire time, there were like hundreds of bouts of me being like, I do not need to run this fast. It is the last one. I've already ran 44 miles in the past 44 hours. I don't need to do this. I don't need to be here. There's a million other things that I can do and just relax and chill and be at home. But it was like, cool. I love that you're saying that like little voice in the back of my head, but guess what? I don't care. I know what I want to do and I know what I want to get at, and we're going to see it because it's either we're about it or we're not. And so it's like making sure that your actions line up to it with the beliefs you're in. And so that's the way that I do it. Of course, you don't have to do that. There's plenty of other ways to do it. Meditate, probably a lot more calm and serene. But just listening to like yourself at a very like deeper and holistic level, I think is extremely important.
Yeah, for sure. What about our watchers? Are they?
Yeah, what do you guys do to listen to your bodies?
Yeah. Tell us.
Yeah, I'm super proud of you guys when you injure yourself in here and you're like, I'm gonna take a day off, or I'm gonna come in here, but I'm gonna modify everything. You guys are super smart when it comes to your injuries, so that's really healthy and good for you guys, because you could always injure yourself further and then set yourself back even further than that. So
I'm not trying to do that.
no.
I know I've done that too many times when I was an infant in the fitness journey. There was one time where I pulled a muscle in my back from, I want to say it was like deadlifting. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. And I was like, cool. And I wasn't really listening to myself. And like I took like a month off like heavy weights, and then I went to squat like a month later, and I was like, I feel like fine. Like it's a little tight, but I'll go through it. And as soon as I went like down in my squat and came back up, I felt the same pull, and I was out for like another like 2 months. And that was all because I was like stubborn. I was like, it's fine. Like it's not that big of a deal. I feel better. And it's like cool. Like just because you like feel better doesn't mean that you are better. So it's like taking the time and like doing it with genuine care.
Definitely. Nobody had any comments on their recovery? Or listening to
No,
their
but
recovery?
Carissa says, I love that, Ariana. You're right. It doesn't end. It's our new lifestyle.
That's right. It's a journey. It's definitely a long process, and that's why I don't like to even say like, oh, change your diet, because it's not really a diet. It really is changing your lifestyle and changing your eating habits for the rest of your life. You know, I've been telling myself I'm not, living to eat. I'm eating to live. Because I just feel like I want to eat all the time, and I think about food all the time because I'm so hungry. So it's like definitely like I'm doing that shift, and like I feel like I'm kind of on this 6-week journey with you guys, because I'm trying to like definitely get used to like eating less, or maybe for some of you it's eating more. Like it's all uncomfortable sometimes, but you know, just it's all good for us. It's all good for our bodies. So.
Yes.
I don't have anything.
All good stuff.
Any closing remarks, Susan?
Closing remarks. Listen to your body. Don't be afraid to take that rest day. Take care of yourself. Make a day for yourself.
Yes. Or be honest with yourself when
Yes.
you need to do a little bit more, like me.
Get a my zone, it'll tell you.
Yes, get a mind zone. Be persistent, be consistent as well, and you guys will definitely start to see those results.
Yes.
All right. You want to send this one on?
Sure, let's stand up for it. All right, guys, coming for a workout later, but let me get a family on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Family!
Woo!
Take
Wear
care,
your
Pippin.
superhero shirts.
Yeah. Perfect.
I can't get.